Hello, my name is Sylvan Groth, and this is a presentation on Harry Potter that I gave at the wonderful Misti-Con in Laconia, New Hampshire on Sunday, May 21st, 2023. Uh, This is titled 12 Failsafe Ways to Charm Wizards and Possibly Witches and Non-Binary Magical Beings. It is based on a wonderful talk called 12 Failsafe Ways to Charm Witches, which was given in 2017 by David M. Martin. At the time that he gave his presentation, David noted that several people had asked that there would be a companion piece on how to charm young wizards. And as anyone who has heard David speak at a conference or even seen the TBS show Tournament of Houses, you know that David has an incredibly high IQ and an incredibly high EQ. He wisely decided that as a cisgendered male of a certain age, it probably wasn't a good idea for him to give advice to even hypothetical magical adolescent females. So he offered up the topic to anyone who wanted to tackle it, and I decided to try. However, like Harry and the egg, I procrastinated and ignored advice until I had the frightening deadline of the con in front of me. So I put together this presentation and I gave it at the con. I will be 100% honest, not many people came, but David himself came, and that just kind of tickled me. So I decided to go ahead and put it up on YouTube. Take with it what you will. I will say at this time that I want to acknowledge the harm that the author of the Harry Potter books has done when she speaks about gender. So not surprisingly, given this, examining the text doesn't give us a lot of models for romantic or sexual relationships between same-sex couples or even non-traditional gender roles. We, of course, have fan fiction to correct this error, but my focus on this talk was the original source material, and I'll note when I think there are opportunities to extrapolate or imagine that someone other than a cisgendered female might be wooing a cisgendered male. But let's all admit that both the author's bigotry and Harry's famous glasses make seeing these things a little difficult. So my first challenge was Harry Potter's limited first-person perspective of love in the magical world. We know that 12 Failsafe Ways to Charm Witches is a book that exists because we see Ron give Harry a copy. However, we can only speculate whether there is a similar tome and which witches at Hogwarts might be reading it and employing its steps. I am a cisgendered, bisexual, polyamorous female, which certainly gives me my own blind spots. I can draw on my experience as a boy-crazy preteen and girl-crazy teenager to remember the kind of advice I received when I was desperate to be noticed. If any of you have ever read a Muggle magazine of this kind, you know that some advice out there is worse than Trelawney's divination lessons. I'll endeavor to do a little better. But before we dive into charming, let's recall the wizards that we see charmed. Who does the charming? I went through each book and ended up with about 30 pages worth of notes and examples. So rather than talk about each, I'm going to quickly show you some slides I threw together. First of all, the boy who lived, Harry Potter. Everyone under the sun wants to charm him, or at least he thinks so, and we see through his eyes. Cho Chang gave it her shot, a little bit unsuccessfully. Ginny Weasley, Luna Lovegood, Tom Riddle, Nearly Headless Nick, of course Moaning Myrtle, and I would argue Ron Weasley. Ron himself had a series of charmers, including the great Hermione Granger, Lavender Brown, Fleur Delacroix, and Madame Rosmerta. Victor Crumb, of course, was charmed by Hermione and Ginny. Neville Longbottom was charmed by Ginny, Luna Lovegood, and I would argue Remus Lupin. Severus Snape, tragically charmed, despite her not knowing it, by Lily Evans, later Potter, and Narcissa Malfoy in that beautiful scene in which she begs for her son's life. Rubius Hagrid was very charmed by the big and beautiful Olympe Maxine. I would also say he was quite charmed by Dumbledore and, of course, Aragog. Dumbledore was charmed by Colette Grindelwald, Harry Potter, and I think Poppy Pomfrey deserves a little bit of credit here. Remus Lupin was charmed to the altar by Nymphadora Tonks, And based on what he tells Harry about his mother, he was charmed by Lily Evans, later Potter. James Potter was charmed by Lily Evans, and I would argue his three other marauders, who obviously affected his behavior and made him take great risks. Horace Slughorn was charmed by Lily Evans, by Dumbledore, and Harry Potter, with a little help of Felix Felicis. Draco Malfoy was charmed by Pansy Parkinson, Moaning Myrtle Warren, and Dumbledore. Dean Thomas, Playboy, was charmed by Cho Chang, Ginny Weasley, and I think definitely Seamus Finnegan. Shout out to all the Demas fans out there. Colin Creevey, of course, was charmed by Harry Potter. Justin Finch-Fletchley thought Gilderoy Lockhart was a charming fellow. Fred was charmed by Angelina Johnson, an unnamed Muggle shopgirl, and his twin, of course, George. Bill Weasley also made it to the altar with the beautiful Fleur Delacroix, and Arthur was charmed by Molly Weasley many times over the course of their long, beautiful marriage. And Argus Filch, I was definitely believing he was charmed by his kitty cat, Mrs. Norris, and Dolores Umbridge. So we've got a whole bunch of witches, wizards, and animals, and all sorts of things who got their man's attention. Let's see how we can do that. So, charm number 1, smile. It is important to get the wizard to notice you, but while it is seldom recognized by young witches, wizards are often as skittish as kelpies. You can't just walk up to them and start a conversation, even if you are offering them a delicious treat or asking a simple question. So how do you carefully encourage a wizard not just to notice you, but come closer to you and perhaps even share a conversation? The answer is simple. Smile. Smiling at your wizard is a safe way to send the message that being around him makes you happy. This is a powerful spell because while you are the one casting it, your wizard will feel that he is enacting a charm on you. This leaves him with the feeling of power and euphoria. If the charm is especially effective, you may notice that your wizard will stand mouth agape when you smile. This means that the charm is working. But you can't rush onward. Instead, walk away and let your wizard sort out the feelings in his chest. The next time you see your wizard, smile again. If he smiles back, you know the charm is working, and you may start a conversation. Don't be worried if he doesn't seem to know what to say. This is a known side effect of a charmed wizard. If you find that you have been smiling at your wizard and he refuses to notice, or perhaps he is too busy staring at another witch, do not despair. We will determine as we continue with our charms if this is simply a setback or if your particular brand of magic just isn't compatible with your wizard. Please remember that this is not to say that you are not good enough for your wizard. If he can't see you for the brilliant, kind, and lovely witch you are, it is his loss. After all, would you rather spend your time with someone who actually chooses you or someone who would need a curse or potion to be by your side? While putting on a happy expression is a strong charm, this is not to say that a charming witch must always be happy or hide her emotions. There are times that you may not feel especially cheerful. You don't have to grin after hearing that your pet rabbit was killed or when you have just received a dreadful mark on your OWLs. But you may find you can muster a small smile that would get your wizard to offer you comfort. Furthermore, researchers at St. Mungo's have found that the act of smiling can actually improve a person's happiness. This spell is so potent that it is even found to be effective in muggles. Charm number 2, share your laughter. You may think an ideal date would be holding hands in a quiet tea shop. We are here to tell you many wizards will be silently panicking while you stare happily into his eyes. Consider instead a trip to a joke shop, because the second charm is sharing laughter with your wizard. This charm is a bit more difficult to cast because of the aforementioned fear response in wizards. You may think that your wizard's greatest fear is an angry Hungarian horntail or a bloodthirsty vampire. In fact, many wizards admit that their greatest fear is looking foolish. So you may think that it is inherently dangerous to laugh while in the presence of your wizard. But if you can find a way to laugh with your wizard and assure him that you are not laughing at him, you will find a bond magically growing between the two of you. Many witches try and fail to employ this charm by giggling at everything the wizard they are trying to attract says. This can very badly backfire. If you laugh too much, he will perhaps think you have been befuddled or that you are not sincere in finding him funny. Remember, the goal is to share your laughter, not laugh when your wizard is serious or confused. Take note that you must also be aware of the wizard-repelling nature of laughter, not just for yourself, but when it comes to your friends. Wizards who are trying to get the courage to approach a witch may turn and zoom off in a completely different direction as if hexed, if your friends are giggling behind you. So how can you let your wizard know that you are laughing with him rather than at him? Here is an excellent opportunity to use both verbal and nonverbal spell work. You can tell him that you think what he said was funny in between a small giggle and perhaps a gentle touch on the arm to put him at ease. If you do not find the ideal opportunity to assure your wizard that he has a great sense of humor from something he says, don't be afraid to make a joke yourself. The best way to employ this charm is to help bring humor to a situation that your wizard finds stressful. Perhaps mocking a teacher that you know he has recently gotten a bad grade from, when neither of you are in any danger of being overheard and getting detention, of course. Or perhaps you may even gently impersonate your wizard, which will show him that you are paying attention and can have fun even with his serious side. As any good comedian will tell you, a joke is all about timing. Don't continuously crack jokes. Choose a moment that your wizard is able to laugh. Charm number 3. Get to know your wizard. You have probably already made a habit of watching your wizard and seeing how he spends his free time. Use your power of observation to go a bit further, gathering information. What does your wizard seem happiest doing? What music or sports does he enjoy? What does he tend to wear when not in his special school robes? I draw your attention to these things, not so you can insert yourself into your wizard's life or mimic all of his choices, though it may help to have an early conversation by learning a few things about his favorite Quidditch team. You do not need to become a devoted fan of Puddlemore United just because he is. Over time, you will find that the more you learn about your wizard, you will either feel closer to him or less so. This is very important. Pay attention to this feeling, because even in the midst of charming, you should not be asking yourself how to get your wizard to like you, but whether you actually like your wizard. We have often witnessed a young witch in love make a mistake that can break even the most potent charm, assuming she knows something about her wizard that is not actually true. How often do we hear the story of the witch who is heartbroken that her wizard doesn't like a gift that she thoughtfully gave to him? The way to avoid this pitfall is to use the powerful tool of questions. Wizards are often given advice to listen and talk with witches. Witches have a predetermined advantage on these points, as you have doubtlessly been talking with your friends about all sorts of vital topics of conversation. Wizards do not come to these skills as easily as witches, so don't be surprised if, as you're starting to have conversations, your wizard answers with a yes or no while you are expecting him to tell you a story. You may have to continue to coax information out of your wizard, not because he wants to hide anything from you, but because he is unpracticed in sharing. Your goal is to have your wizard confiding in you. You don't want him to just tell you how pretty you look, but also what his worries and hopes are. You may be reading this and think, where is the romance in asking a wizard what he wants? Aren't I, as his witch, supposed to know? Be very careful of this hex. All witches and wizards change over time. Think about it. You don't want your bedroom decorated the same way that you did even 3 years ago. These changes can happen at any time and are not always obvious. As a wise muggle often tells his readers and listeners, it is important to use your words. Charm number 4. Know when to make your move. You may have been told by your mother, some Witch Weekly advice column, or even your friends, that if your wizard likes you, it will be obvious and it is up to him to ask you out on a date. I'm here to tell you that there is no shame in being the one to ask, and in fact, your wizard may be so relieved that you have taken the pressure off of him, you will find yourself further along in charming. However, as with adding certain ingredients to a long brewing potion, timing is everything when it comes to approaching your wizard. Remember that wizards are much more shy than we often believe. Even if you do not wish to be the person to ask, a first step is to find a way to have a private conversation with your wizard. You have doubtlessly learned many of your wizard's nonverbal signals of when he is in a good mood. It is certainly more ideal to break the ice when he is happy and you can engage charm number 2. But you may also be able to open a conversation with your wizard by offering him your support or consolation after a teacher was hard on him during a lesson. Or you might wish to ask for his help if you know who is doing well in a subject in which you are struggling. We all love to feel like we are appreciated for our skills. Notice that we have not yet given you advice on how to ask your wizard out on a date. Believe it or not, it is seldom effective to just walk up to your wizard and offer yourself as a romantic partner, even if you are part vila. Give him the room and opportunity to approach you. You may be surprised that the wizard who has been staying half a Quidditch course away while you and your friends are walking along the grounds or having lunch in the Great Hall will actually come up to you if you are sitting alone in the library or taking a private moment somewhere. If your patience is wearing thin, consider sending an owl to your wizard to ask him to take a walk by the lake, or you may remind him of an upcoming field trip. If you do find yourself asking him to go on a date with you, ask gently and be pleasant, even if his answer is no. Charm number 5, nourish relationships. If you have been following the charms carefully, you are already well on your way to a spectacular romance with your magical partner, which is why this next charm is going to seem counterproductive. But trust us, this charm is vital if you want to form a lasting relationship rather than a short fling. Charm number 5 is to remember to spend time and give attention to people in your life besides your wizard. This is true both before and especially after you and your wizard become an official couple. The benefits of spending quality time with your friends, mentors, and family, aside from your wizard, are twofold. First, know whichever won a wizard's affection by just staring at him longingly. The relationships you have outside your wizard will prepare you for being a friend to your wizard, which is a vital part of being his girlfriend. You may not even realize it, but by spending time with the people you care about, you are constantly learning new things and strengthening your magical tool of empathy. The heart is a muscle that demands varied exercise. You and your wizard are both likely to find that spending time apart makes you even more eager to be together. Also, you will have things to say to one another. You should also consider when and how to incorporate time with your wizard into bonding with your friends. Don't be surprised if it might take them a little while to warm up to each other. Just because you can see all the wonderful qualities that your wizard possesses, don't be surprised if your friend might at first focus on his poor choice in robes or bad table manners. Give them time and opportunity to get the full picture of each other. And here is another secondary benefit of keeping your friends close while charming your wizard. If, after a good period of time, your friends are telling you they don't understand why you are with your wizard, you can and should ask them why they feel that way. Sometimes even a very intelligent witch can have her vision blinded and miss the fact that the overall negative attributes of a wizard can't be outweighed by her love and loyalty toward him. If you are not communicating well with your friends, they may not feel they can express concerns that you should hear. When things are going well, your friends are much more likely to jump in and help you come up with the perfect date idea or Christmas gift for your wizard if they aren't feeling resentful of the fact that you've been ignoring them. Sometimes charms need more than one person to help take hold. It may be that your wizard exhibits some jealousy when you let him know that you are going to forgo watching his Quidditch practice in order to spend time with your friends in Hogsmeade. This may not be a bad thing, but it is not the goal of this charm. Beware charms, witches, or wizards who claim that your partner not wanting you to spend time with anyone else is a sign of love. What is important is balance. Charm number 6, through your wizard's stomach. You may have heard the old cliche, the way to a wizard's heart is through the cauldron. When we were young, we might not have gotten the joke and thought that this was just a call to become a brilliant love potion brewer. Even today, there are many who still believe that mastering the domestic duty of creating delicious food will get a wizard to want to be and stay in a relationship. But let's face it, since the Flu Network interfaced with the Muggle services of DoorDash, literally any cuisine from anywhere is just a toss of powder in the fire away. No one actually needs to learn to cook. But that doesn't mean that paying attention to your wizard's taste buds isn't important. Food is one of all humans' great pleasures, and sharing a meal bonds us. How often have you noticed your wizard grin at a meal in a way that you wish he would smile at you? Does he talk about a sweet shop as if it were his own personal heaven? This charm is all about getting you into that equation. If you are trying to break the ice with your wizard, you might open up his favorite treat and then offer to split your chocolate frog. Sharing is very important because it makes the act of eating something you are doing with your wizard, and it alleviates any fear that you might be trying to slip him a potion. You'll have noticed, now that we are halfway through our list of charms, that at no point have we tried to take away anyone's free will or change you or your wizard. Sitting together with a pleasant distraction, such as a meal or tea, is a great way to ease into talking together with your wizard. But remember, they are not as experienced as you. Be patient and leave room for them to come up with something to say. But you are likely thinking, if I ate like my wizard, I'd either need to go to St. Mungo's or need to exercise all day to avoid looking like I need to be punctured. We're not saying that you have to eat like your wizard, and certainly you don't need to forgo all table manners, but try to eat with your wizard, and while you're at it, learn about his tastes and preferences. You may not enjoy all the same things he does, but avoid the common trap of worrying aloud about your waistline while you and your wizard should be enjoying breaking bread together. And especially, never say anything disparaging about your wizard's family recipes. Charm number 7, snogging. We're guessing many of you may have skipped ahead to this charm. After all, witches often dream about their first kiss with a handsome wizard long before they even develop their first crush on a specific young person. And you have probably heard older witches gossiping about who kisses well and who is a sad snogger. None of us want to be bad at anything, especially something as important as this. The bad news is that there is no perfect charm to be a brilliant kisser. No technique works for every wizard. And despite how hard you plan for the most picture-perfect romantic moment, chances are your first kiss is likely to be at least a little awkward, which is why you should master charms number 2 and 3 before even attempting this one. The good news is that, despite everything you may believe in your romantic heart, the first kiss isn't really that important. For most couples, snogging gets better over time as you learn how to communicate and respond to each other's subtle signals. Since we know you are still hoping that we can offer you some advice for avoiding a truly awkward and disappointing time while your lips are locked, here is what we can tell you. Be attentive to yourself and your wizard. Remembering to breathe is most important for avoiding having to go to the hospital wing and being able to remember the pleasure of sharing that kiss later. Don't be shy about starting the kiss or ending it. Chances are your wizard is just as nervous as you and uncertain about what he is doing. If you are the one to start the kiss, keep in mind what you have learned about your wizard. Is he more sensitive about public attention than others? Then you probably want to choose a moment that is private, rather than grabbing him with your tongue in the middle of a crowded ballroom. And as hard as it is to believe, you may have to be clear to your wizard after kissing him once that you indeed want to do it again. Remember that you should also be spending time doing something other than snogging. Having conversations, playing chess, watching Quidditch, taking walks, or spending time with friends together will also deepen your bond. And if you find you are spending these moments wishing you were snogging, you just might find that the anticipation makes the actual time kissing even better. Charm number 8, building and sustaining trust. By now you have probably had many wonderful experiences with your wizard. You may even be using the terms boyfriend and girlfriend, and assuming that your relationship is on a certain track. This brings us to a very important charm, building trust with your wizard. You may think this is an effortless outcome of all that has come before, but we must warn you that assuming you know what your wizard is expecting of you, and especially assuming your wizard knows what you are thinking, is a very dangerous casting. To begin the spell, you should start with a special kind of magic that witches excel much more strongly at than wizards, empathy. Consider how the things you say or do around your wizard would make you feel if the roles were reversed. But don't assume that just because he is doing something you would never consider that he is aware his actions are hurtful. Sometimes wizards just don't know better. For example, perhaps your wizard neglects to wear the scarf that you thoughtfully gave him for Christmas, or forgets the month anniversary of the first time you held hands while walking through the forest. It's natural that you will feel hurt by these failures. But instead of waiting for him to apologize and giving him the cold shoulder until he does, consider what you learned in charm number 3. Is your wizard naturally warm-blooded? Did you forget that he hates the color blue, even though it makes his eyes look lovely? You just might have to be the bigger person and tell your wizard how you are feeling, and asking for what you want rather than expecting him to know. You must never demand certain words or actions, even if you are fully entitled to them. These charms let your wizard know that you are aware he has his own mind and his own free will. This is the first part of building trust. Another key part in communicating that will create a bond between you and your wizard is managing the emotion of jealousy. You have to learn how to trust your wizard that he will not just run off with another witch, and you need to give him assurances that just because you could find another date, you are choosing to be with him. Perhaps your wizard had a bad reaction to charm number 5 when you were spending time with your other friends, or perhaps he gets angry when you get an owl from someone who you used to date. Many witches believe that jealousy is a sign of passionate feelings, and you should use this to your advantage. Others suggest that you should hide your past from your wizard to avoid him feeling jealousy. While both of these may give you an immediate reaction and short-term result that feels positive, i.e., it may make you the focus of your wizard's fickle attention that has been too often straying to the Quidditch World Cup, or a pretty barmaid's backside, that will come at a cost of lost trust and a weakened bond with your wizard. So here are 2 important ways to build and sustain trust, which you should apply as the present situation calls for. 1. Be honest about your past relationships, including the fact that they are in the past and you are choosing to be with your wizard now. Acknowledge that your wizard may have had feelings for other witches, and those feelings don't just disappear. In doing that, you let him know that you appreciate him choosing you just as you have chosen him. Charm number 9, making private time private. The world is wide and excitedly open for a witch or wizard newly in love. After your long wait of secretly hoping to one day be able to walk by your wizard's side and snog him to your heart's content, you may find that you want to shout your love from the highest tower. You may not care if a crowd of hundreds is watching as you lock lips. Everyone should know the passion you and your love feel for each other. This instinct can nefariously work against all your careful charm work thus far. If you're only spending time showing off your wizard to your friends, then you are not really building a relationship with your wizard. You're building a public image of your relationship. It's also not at all healthy to keep your relationship hidden. Remember the lessons learned in charm number 5, and keep your heart and ears open to your friends. Once again, you must find a balance, but the charm here is to make and honor private time with your wizard. And to be clear, this is not just all about charm number 7. It is true that you should be kind to your friends and reserve a good portion of your make-out sessions for time without witnesses. But you should also make time to just talk with your wizard, or play chess, or examine the exotic plants in the greenhouses. Resist the urge to make every date a group activity. Just as you need to spend time with your other friends without your wizard, you need to spend time just with your wizard. If you find that you are only interested in being with your wizard where others can see you, you may need to spend more time on charm number 3. Furthermore, while it is okay to share some details of your happy moments by talking with your friends afterwards, you should not tell them everything. Believe it or not, your wizard may care more about keeping the memories you and he make together to himself than his own physical safety. The thought of your first kiss may be so precious that he could cast spells he didn't even know he was capable of to protect those thoughts. Charm number 10, working through disagreements. Be honest. Have you ever made a mistake? Chances are, if you're going to be with your wizard for a fair amount of time, there may be something that you need to apologize for. And your wizard or witch will inevitably do something that upsets you. It's not enjoyable to be on either side of this equation, but how you respond in both cases can mean the difference between charming yourself closer together or saying Avada Kedavra to your relationship. Remember that nonverbal charms are incredibly tricky and should not be attempted until you and your wizard have many years of experience working out disagreements via methods such as small gestures or conversations through the eyes. In fact, you may find that in the midst of a tense time, you might have to use direct requests and statements that you would never normally use. For example, asking your wizard when it is good time to have a discussion. This not only avoids a tense situation if you unwittingly are interrupting his thoughts, but gives your wizard the warning that he should pay attention and be ready to not overreact to what you need to tell him. Second, don't expect your wizard to instantly come around to your point of view just because you calmly and clearly explained why making plans on the same afternoon he had promised to be with you was disrespectful. Also, avoid assuming you know what your wizard will say. Believing you know everything your wizard is capable of thinking and doing, even after years of marriage, is a good way to break the charm of your connection. You have to engage your ears, not just in hopes that he will say he is sorry, but also for hints as to why his feelings were hurt or why he didn't understand your expectations. Finally, it never goes wrong to acknowledge that it was difficult for your wizard to express his feelings to you. Turn number 11. Support your wizard. So far, we have used our charms to get your wizard to notice you and then turn that initial attraction into a strong bond between the two of you, even when you hit rough patches. We trust that these charms have been helpful to creating a relationship that is maybe not exactly as you imagined, but makes you happy. At each step, you should have been asking yourself if the wizard you have chosen is the one you truly want to charm. Which means that the other person in this relationship has most likely been asking him or herself if you are right for them. If that thought makes you panic, our final two charms will alleviate this feeling, but in truth, they should have been part of each of the charms that went before. Our penultimate charm is to support your wizard. This doesn't mean handing over galleons so that he can go to the pub without you, or waiting on him hand and foot, but it does mean you should know what your wizard's hopes and dreams are, and offer your encouragement, both in words and deeds to tell him that these things matter to you as well. For example, studying for OWLs together might not seem very romantic, but if your wizard knows that you put his desire to have a certain career as just as important to you as making out by the lake, and that you are willing to wait for the latter so he can focus on his exams, he will appreciate you and hopefully give you the same kind of support when you need it. All relationships are give and take. Some advise that this should always be equal. But in truth, sometimes you will give more and other times you'll need more support from your wizard. This is natural, and only you and your wizard can decide if the balance you come to works for both of you. At this stage, remember to not just ask for what you need, but to ask your wizard how you can be part of him achieving his goal in the relationship and out of it. Charm number 12. Growing with your wizard. Finally, the charm that sets apart the romances that we look back on with a wistful smile from those that last until our old age. The 12th charm is to remember that every human being will change over time. Your wizard will acquire new tastes and interests, and hopefully also develop some improved habits and hygiene. You also need to continue improving yourself and invite your wizard to be part of your journey, as well as reminding him that you want to be part of his. In other words, grow with your wizard. It is okay to think about those exciting times that you first noticed each other, but you should also be building new experiences and charming each other every day going forward. Very few couples meet in their teen years and end up married and happy forever. This is not a failure, but a part of life as we learn who we are and what we want in a partner. If you have read each of the 12 charms, you may be thinking, there wasn't any magic in this advice. You are quite clever, because this is true. There is no spell or potion that can create love. Love is the spell, and we don't charm our ways into it, but are transfigured by it when it occurs. These steps are not about creating love out of nothing, or charming another person into loving you without their free desire to be charmed. You are preparing yourself to fall into that kind of love that will make all of your charms stronger and more fulfilling. So with that, our beautiful witch, know that we await your smile. And all you muggles, go buy David's book.